If you're trying to develop more power on your one-handed backhand, then I'm going to help you with that in this video. My name's Richard Bryce, tennis hacker. I help tennis players to improve performance using brain-based training. So I teach them how to practice effectively, but also how to improve their vision, how to improve their coordination, how to improve their skill so they can play at a higher level. Now, I'm naturally a right-handed player, but unfortunately I injured myself in a mountain bike crash, so now I'm using the techniques that I teach players and I'm relearning to play with my left hand. My goal is to become the best player I can and hopefully compete on the seniors ITF tour. I'm currently at around a 4-5 level. I've developed a reasonable amount of consistency with my one-handed backhand, and now, like a lot of players, I'm trying to add more efficient power. So that's what I'm doing in this practice session. And I want to break down the key things that I'm working on. So I want to talk about the biomechanics, and I also want to talk about the timing, because the timing is the critical component to being able to develop efficient power. Now, it's a warm day, which is why I've got my top off. Hopefully you can excuse the semi-nakedness and still benefit from the content, and if you do, it'd be awesome if you could give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel before, much appreciated if you could do that as well. When it comes to generating efficient power, there's going to be a few key components. The first one is going to be the biomechanics, and then the second piece is going to be the timing, because if we don't get the timing component, it doesn't really allow us to make everything work and doesn't allow us to be efficient. So we're going to take a look at the important phases. The first part is going to be the preparation. The preparation sets you up to use efficient biomechanics. So you can see as part of my preparation here, I've got a quick upper body unit turn. Now, I'm holding my racket in this position, and this is kind of a reasonable position for most players, but the exact position of your racket doesn't matter. It's more about preference. So if you're the sort of player that has your racket kind of pointing more in this direction, that's completely fine. The important part is that we get the upper body coil, because we're going to need that as part of our kinetic chain. We also want to get the pelvis pointing to the side, because we're going to be using that as part of our kinetic chain. And then we want to load into this outside leg or back leg. So for me, playing left-handed, it's my right leg. For you, if you're a right-hander, it's going to be your left leg, because we're going to be initiating the swing by driving through that. So I'm driving into the ground here, and I'm going to throw this hip forwards a little bit, but I'm pushing into the ground there. And as I do that, you can see that the racket is dropping into the slot position. Now again, dependent on the precise technique that you use, it might look like mine, where the racket's pointing directly towards the back fence, or yours might be in a slightly different position. But the key that we're trying to get is the timing of this. So as I drive with my leg and push through my hip, I create the racket drop, and notice what's happening here. I'm finalizing kind of stretch in my body, so my upper body torso is turning a little bit more. It's also stretching out this shoulder, because we're trying to turn the body into a whip. So I'm driving through the leg, then the torso kicks in, and now, after I've driven with the big muscles in the leg and the torso, now the shoulder is starting to kick in, and I'm effectively trying to throw the racket at the ball. So for here, it's a lot of shoulder, and then there is the contact point. So we have to try and get that timing to work. It is about, can you get prepared and set up in the right position? So here I'm dealing with a relatively easy feed. I'm not having to do much footwork. Obviously, if the ball was in a different position, I would have to set my feet up in the right place, because that's critical on all shots. But then it's getting the unit turn, getting the racket drop, and initiating the swing soon enough. So you can see, you can't really see where the ball's bouncing, but you can see how far the ball is away as I start that racket drop. And then here I'm really starting the forwards momentum. The ball is still this far away, and then I come through to contact there, and I'm meeting that way out in front of my body. And again, all this stuff is absolutely critical. Where it goes wrong for so many players is the timing component. You have to start your swing soon enough. Big muscles are doing the work, big muscles are doing the work, and then from there, I'm effectively throwing the racket at the ball. I'm not putting too much muscular force in at this point. If you start your swing late, or you don't swing quickly enough, you end up still using your muscles as you make contact, and that's what reduces the efficiency. So it's all about using the biomechanics, getting the good unit turn, loading the big muscles, and then starting your swing at the right time by driving through the hip as you go into the racket drop or the slot position, and then pulling things through and getting that contact out in front. So they're the key elements of the technique and timing that allow you to efficiently generate power on your one-handed backhand. So it's a case of going away and analyzing where things are going wrong within your stroke. Are you preparing in the right way? Are you setting up in the right position? Are you getting the right spacing on your shots? Are you starting your swing soon enough? Are you able to sequence your kinetic chain effectively? Where is it going wrong? And you need to focus your time on correcting whatever that issue is. And one of the big things that limits players in this area is their level of eye to hand and eye to foot coordination, because tennis is always easier said than done. Coaches, especially online, make things out to be really easy, and that's simply not the case. It's incredibly difficult. For most players, the hard part is going to be the timing component. Starting your swing at the right time and adjusting your coordination and the sequence of your kinetic chain. If your visual system doesn't work well enough to allow you to accurately read the flight of the ball, it's almost impossible to have good timing. And if your coordination isn't good enough, it prevents you from sequencing your kinetic chain and adjusting the speed of your swing, which is why I teach tennis players how to train and improve eye to hand and eye to foot coordination using brain-based training. And if you'd like to learn how to do that, I've got a class that's going to lay out and teach you how to do both of them. So I'll place a link to that class down in the description so that you can watch that if you're interested. But otherwise, hopefully you have found the video to be useful. If you have any questions or comments about what I've talked about here, if there's anything else you'd like to see content on, leave me a comment down below and I'll catch you next time.